Hey guys, this is Dr. Holder with Education 419, and this is a walkthrough of the unit plan template. After doing a little bit of research, I found that there really wasn't a good template for you guys to use, so I decided to put this one together, and it'll give you a better shot at just knowing what exactly you need to do and what I'm expecting, and then you can just drop the lesson plans that you've created into this template. First, you'll fill out the top part here, the subject, the grade, and your unit topic. This will set the unit goals that you'll be using, and then your unit goals then set your objectives. Your state and national standards, you don't need to do anything here because once you put this in live text under unit plan, you'll select the state standards and the national standards that you're going to put there. So you won't put anything here, but don't forget to select them in live text. Sometimes students think, oh, they're just in live text, I don't have to do that. So you need to do that. All right, your general goals. This is, again, a goal statement. This is what you want to achieve at the end of the unit, what you want the student to have learned. The objectives are how you do the goal. Remember, they are specific and they must be measurable. Now, you're going to have a series of them. You can have 5 objectives, you could have 10 objectives, but these objectives must be met by your 10 lessons. The course map or outline is a little bit different. We haven't really talked about this one in class, but this is, like, say, if you're doing U.S. History 10th grade and it's divided up over 10th grade and 11th grade, then what you would put here is the different units. If you've got 6 weeks, or 6 weeks, or whatever, however you've decided to divide it up, you'll put them all here so that you can see the overall curricular goals of that unit for that year. Now it says here, highlight in yellow the unit you will be doing. You're just doing one of these. So if you're doing the Civil War, you'll be about halfway right here, and you'll highlight that, and it'll say, Civil War analysis, or the foundations of the Civil War, whatever the name of your unit is, and then you'll highlight it so that I know specifically where your unit fits in with the overall curriculum. Next, we have the duration. Here's just basically the title of each of your days. You'll have 10 of them, and you're just putting in here what you're going to be doing. The launching activities, usually when you start a big unit, it's kind of like your set in lesson 1, 2, and 3, but it's a little bit bigger. Sometimes you have a bigger discussion, like if you're doing Shakespeare or something, you'll have a movie or something that you want to show them. But that's where you put your learning activity here. The resources and materials that you anticipate, so you make sure you've got those gathered and planned for. Your diagnostic, formative, and summative assessments. Your formative assessments, again, are as you go through what you're going to be doing along the way, and then you've got your traditional summative assessment at the end, basically your unit test. And how are you going to measure that? I put optional on these. We use them in our graduate level courses, and some of the other unit plans, they require this. And this is your cross-curricular stuff, connecting with other sections, like with English and math or science. Sometimes that really works well to get social studies to cross over. Your diversity and differentiation section. You want to be a little bit detailed here. Don't just copy and paste what the different diversity or differentiation things are. We want you to think about how you can modify your unit planning and your lesson planning to accommodate these guys, different things and strategies that you've come up with or that you've come across that you might want to try here. Obviously, you're not teaching this unit, but we want you to be as creative as possible. But don't just give me a list of what defines differentiation. I need to know how you plan to take that and integrate it into your unit. Your character principles. This is really important to me. I like to see a good plan of what you're wanting to teach these young men and women about life and growing up. We should always be able to, especially in social studies, draw from character and different biblical principles as we go. So why don't you make sure you put it in there, some good biblical references. I think you can, I saw earlier in one of your lesson plans a reference to something Buddha said, and it's just very universal in attitude, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to come from the scripture, but I believe all your character principles should be anchored in the word somewhere. All right, again, the multiple disciplinary stuff, hey, that's optional. If you got some good ideas for crossing over into math or TESOL or something like that, that's fine. Put it here, but it is not a requirement, but I am leaving it in here. Now this is where I don't want you to get confused. You guys have already done lessons 1, 2, and 3, so you don't need to do anything else with those. They've already been graded. They're in Blackboard. You don't attach them here. I know where they are. But you're going to be picking up with lesson 4. I'll give you a little bit of a detailed description of lesson 4, and then you'll obviously see how the rest just follow. All right, so lesson 4, first you have your topic. Remember the 10 up here? Your topic? Well, you're going to be doing lesson 4, so you'll take that and you'll move it down here and you'll put this in as your topic. Then you have your primary objective that this lesson's going to meet. Your pre-assessment for that lesson. Then you're going to have your materials and equipment. If it's, the same, just copy and paste it. If it's a little different, for each lesson, like you're going to show a movie or you're going to do this or that, that's fine. You need to list that out. I don't like to just see, especially with technology integration, the use of PowerPoint. I want you to see a little bit better usage of technology integration, at least some point in your unit. You don't have to use it every day, but I'd like to see it here and there used appropriately. Not just, hey, my kids went down to the lab, so you put computer lab up here and technology integration, lab work, or internet searching. I want you to see what you're doing specifically, and that you have a plan. The character principle. This will pretty much be the same, and that's where sometimes you might have 4 or 5 character principles in your unit plan part, and then here's where you start breaking it out. Well, today we're going to be talking about patience or perseverance, and that is specific to lesson 4. Your set, obviously, provide a beneficial way to begin the lesson and create a sense of interest for the students. This does not have to be extensive. It could be, hey, let's talk about Abraham Lincoln, or did you read this letter, or here's a news clipping, or something. It can be creative. Teacher instruction modeling, obviously, this is the instruction part. This is what you're going to be doing. This is the PowerPoint that you're going to be talking through. It doesn't have to be overly detailed, but make sure that a substitute teacher would be able to pick this up, read that, and understand what it is he or she was supposed to do in your classroom that day. Guided student practice, what are they going to do? Are you going to you could just say discuss these topics and list those topics out, or we're going to have them do this, or we're going to have them talk amongst themselves, etc. Independent student practice, again, it's just another kind of practice of rehearsal. You don't have to use each of these for every lesson, but if it's appropriate, I want to see it. And then your closure, brief activity or quote or some kind of higher order thinking skill where you're having them process the information that they've learned that day and do something with it so that they are more likely to retain it. You're helping them out. And then lesson 5. See how it just moves right on? It's just one long document, and you're just going to be filling these in as best as possible. And once you get to the end, all the way down here to lesson 10, it'll be a nice big long document. You will then take it, save it, and you will attach it in live text to your unit plan for History 419. You don't worry with the 420 unit plan there. I'm probably going to try to get that removed, but you're going to do History 419 and the unit plan, and then you will just simply attach this, and don't forget to choose your standards that you will be meeting with this unit there in the template. Okay, this is Dr. Holder, and that was a brief walkthrough of the unit plan.